Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back here for the second time. Last year's meeting was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that we got some very positive feedback so that we could repeat the event again this year. My job to kick off this meeting is to talk about the state of the industry from a supplier's perspective. And it's kind of nice for suppliers to get up on the podium first for a change. And we feel good about that. Thank you very much. Go ahead, suppliers. Actually, I've got some fairly good news, I think. I think our industry is on the mend, and I've had a little bit of evidence, at least, from our members' perspective of what they believe the case to be. We do a survey every 2 months called the Automotive Supplier Barometer. And this barometer measures the opinion of suppliers in terms of the state of the industry. Is it the same as it was 2 months ago? Do you see it improving somewhat, a lot, not improving, getting worse, getting a lot worse? And as you can see with the situation in 2007 and 2008, with the housing woes setting in the country, a lot of difficult issues happened, and you could see that the marks were below 50, and anything below 50 means things are getting worse. Anything above 50, people are more optimistic about the future. And finally, GM and Chrysler emerged from Chapter 11 in the second half of 2009. The Cash for Clunkers programs were initiated, which pushed production schedules up, creating more demand for supplier parts. And certainly healthy production schedules rolled into the first quarter of this year, and you can see that the index is in the 68 to 72 range, which is as high as it's been since we started this survey. So certainly there is enthusiasm on the part of the supplier community about the state of the industry. It is very surprising that the supplier community is as strong as it is when you consider what we've gone through in the past 18 months. Capacity utilization in our industry has been very low, relatively low in the last few years, but it got down to 46%. We're up to 55% capacity utilization today, and that is actually a state where you would think everyone would be severely depressed and wondering how in the world they're going to make it through the next couple of weeks. We're running currently at a little over 55%. We're still facing constrained bank lending and very tight lending terms from our bankers, and that is creating real difficulty for us to get our working capital. We're facing overtime premiums and material component shortages and expedited freight costs and so forth from the ramp-ups that we're facing from our customers. We have concerns over retaining critical skilled personnel during this very difficult period, and we are facing volatile production schedules. Yet in spite of all of these, what would appear to be very negative traits, the industry appears to be fairly motivated and believes that we are beyond the trough and that we're on the mend. Now this chart is one that we obtained from CSM Worldwide. The top shows production volumes in North America, or sales volumes, excuse me, and the bottom line shows production volumes in North America going back to 2002 and projected up to 2015. So you can see that our sales are going to improve, but it's going to take till 2014 before we see the kind of volumes that we had back in 2007. So it is a slow recovery. So why are suppliers enthused? Well, first, the old rule that we've all worked under is that break-even would typically be 80% of capacity. And the industry was typically capacitized to support about 17 million units of production in North America. So basically we had a break-even level of 14 million units per year. We did a survey of our members let me try the next progression. In May of 2009, we had 110 companies respond to the survey. And they indicated at that time that the break-even production levels were 10.5 million units per year. That's a dramatic reduction in less than a year. And that, of course, involved a tremendous number of layoffs, mothballing of operations, and so forth, and a lot of consolidation of plant operations. But the point is that they were able to achieve break-even in their estimate at 10.5 million units per year. We repeated this survey in September of last year, and the break-even number that came out was 9.5 million units per year. That is tremendous. So basically, if volumes normalize at 15.5 million units, then break-even is at 60%. That is a tremendous improvement, and if we can operate successfully and profitably with a break-even of 60% of production volumes, that is a tremendous statement on what the industry has gone through and accomplished and implemented. So of course the secret then is making sure that as we ramp back up, that we don't go back to the old ways and doing the things that we've done in the past, that we really learn from this and continue to work very efficiently. When we ask our members what things will stick as volumes return, what things are you going to continue to do right that has allowed you to be profitable at the 9.5 million unit mark? And there were a number of comments that you can see here related to workforce reduction, renegotiating contracts, revised benefits, co-pays. A quote, we moved the sales team to pool cars. Don't necessarily advocate that, but the point is that is some things that were done. In terms of revenue, and I agree with you, revenue enhancement, we took over programs and tools from weaker competitors, pursuing aftermarket business, diversifying customers, conducting additional marketing and sales calls outside of our automotive. In terms of cost structure, we closed 4 plants in 90 days. In Hungary, we were limited to a 30% reduction of natural gas. Suddenly, we were able to manage with less consumption. So, you know, you're so used to operating a certain way that you need it, but when necessity calls and says you're not going to be able to operate unless you make some adjustments, many companies were able to make very significant adjustments that allowed them to continue to operate. And of course, a number of things in the financial management area, developed relationships outside of our traditional lenders, and went beyond the bank that I've been dealing with in my family business for 30 years, and actually stepped outside of that paradigm and things like that. But we have a long ways to go. There have been a number of announcements, at least by the North American OEMs, in terms of supplier consolidation. Ford has announced a 53% reduction in direct suppliers from about 1,600 a little over a year ago to an intended goal of 750 suppliers without a specific date being mentioned. Tony Brown did mention last year that the head of purchasing at Ford that they would be awarding new business to 850 suppliers starting at the end of 2009, down from the 1,600 that existed. So while existing suppliers wouldn't be eliminated, but once their business on that particular part and business is gone, the new business has actually gone to only 850 suppliers who will get the opportunity to do that. GM has stated 30% reduction in direct suppliers more than a year ago. Chrysler, as recently as a couple weeks ago, Dan Knott announced that there would be a 50% reduction in their direct suppliers, although there would be some additional suppliers coming in due to the Fiat programs that they will have kicking off. So there will not necessarily be a full 50% reduction in supplier count, but a 50% reduction in the current suppliers to Chrysler. So little consolidation has taken place to date. I think if we had to estimate, it might be in the 10–12% range. There is concern that the capital will not be available for mergers and acquisition activities to speed consolidation.